What is going on YouTube? Today I am putting a really quick video together on how to do rotors and pads on the rear of a 2016 CRV. Most CRVs are exactly the same no matter what year it is, even in their previous generations. So that is what we're up to today. I wasn't even going to film this because I'm kind of in a bit of a hurry, but while doing the one side, I actually came across something that is very, very upsetting. My car has previously only been serviced by Honda. We had to have previous brake inspections done by Honda to keep our warranty up to date and blah, blah, blah. So now I actually need to do the rotors and pads, and when I took it apart, I was actually very disappointed with what I saw. So I ended up getting in the filming mind frame because I'm gonna make a video on why I truly no longer believe you should have anything done at a dealership. Even simple maintenance is coming out with really shoddy work. I'm no mechanic. Everything I've learned was from YouTube or just trial and error working on my cars. So I don't know. I'm no mechanic is all I'm trying to say. And when I saw this, it's just pathetic. So anyway, you want to see why you never want to go to a dealership and you should do all the work you can yourself? Check out the link in the description. I will have that. So today, as I said, rear rotors and pads for the 2016 CRV. We are going to hop right into it. I already have the rim and tire off because that's pretty straightforward. So we are just going to hop right into it here. All right. Okay guys, so step number one, we got to take the caliper off of the rotor to get that freed up. So step one, to loosen the caliper off, bolt here and a bolt here, number 12 socket, that goes on those. And then to take the brake pad bracket off of the rotor, it's a number 17 socket, which I've actually never seen an odd size socket on a Honda before. Well, obviously there is, but just in general maintenance, they always have even numbers. But anyway, to take the bracket off, it's this bolt right here and this bolt right here. So we're gonna work on getting those taken off. One thing I wanted to add that I forgot to mention before, this brake line here, there is a bolt. There's a bolt right there that I undid just to make the caliper move around a little bit more freely. So you want to go ahead and take that bolt out so when you have the caliper off, it moves around a little bit better for you. Honestly guys, I'm a little lost for words right now. So the same thing that happened on the other side has happened on this side. So you guys are going to get a little sneak peek of what my dealership rant video is all about. If you take a look, let me see if it focuses. See this brake pad right here? So see how it's flat? Not supposed to be like that. Let's take a look at what it's supposed to look like. So if you look at this brake pad, let it focus, get better angle. So if you look at this brake pad, see how it has those clips right here? See if it'll focus. Come on. So the clips that are on the back there, I don't know why it's not focusing. Those are actually supposed to go into your caliper cup. So mine have been shaved off. So all that I can imagine is when they were doing the brake surface on it, they couldn't figure out how to get them in and said, screw it, I'm gonna cut them off. Anyway, you wanna see more on that, on why you should only do things yourself or a trusted garage that you've been to before, check out the link in the description. So for now, I still need to take off the brake pad bracket. So I'm gonna take that off and then I'll show you guys how to take the rotors off, because that is actually what kind of made me want to make this video, because it's not as easy as hitting with a hammer and taking it off. It has the e-brake attached to it, and I couldn't find anyone else that had a video on how to do it. So get this bracket off and then we'll get to taking the rotor off. Okay, so guys, so first step to getting your brake pad holder ready is take the brake pad clips out, the original ones. You're gonna take a metal brush, file everything down, hit it with some brake cleaner, get it all cleaned up, ready to go. Then I'm gonna take the slides out and then we'll service those, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay guys, so now we are going to service the sliders on the brake pad holder. A lot of people get bent out of shape with this. For some reason everyone thinks it's harder than it is, so I'm going to show you in real time, easy peasy, what you need to do. So obviously all I'm doing here is wiping off all the excess grease. I am using Molly Slip silicone lube, pretty much all I use for the brakes. All I'm going to do at first, put a little bit down there, not too much. Same with the bottom one, not too much. So, okay, actually the first one I think I'll put a tiny bit more. Okay, so now take your slider after you cleaned it off, push it in there. So push the lube that you just put in and just kind of work it in a little bit. So as I'm doing this, I can actually kind of feel the slider touching the metal. It's not moving the best. So actually, one thing to mention, I did when I was cleaning this off, I shot some brake cleaner in here to clean out that reservoir. So that is already cleaned out. So what I'm going to do, take a little bit, push it on the slider, just a real little bit, and just kind of work it on the slider, just so that it has some lube on it. Take it back, put it in. It feels much better actually. It feels pretty good. Moving nice and smooth. So what you want to do, see how it bunches up like that? You don't want it. So you got to pinch it so all the air comes out of the boot. Push it in while you're doing it. And that way when you pull out, see how it springs back in? That's a nice slider. Out and in, don't feel any grinding. Let's see if I can get any more air out. That's it. So it's all the way in, pull out. Has a nice spring back. That's what you want to see. It pulling right back in. Let's do the same thing for the bottom one. Already got a little bit of lube in there. Push it in. Work it in a little bit, and same thing, I can kind of feel it touching the sides a bit. So just put a tiny bit on the side. Work it in. That's it. Then you slide it back in. Feels much better already again. Kind of work it in just so that it's in there nice. And then same thing, we're gonna push it all the way in. Pinch the boot so that all the air and any excess grease comes out. Then you should be able to pull it out. It goes right back in. That one's not going as nice. Let's try and work it in a little more. Maybe put a tiny bit more lube on it. That should fix her up. Pinch out the air again. Yep, that's much better. I'm happy with that. These are both retracting good. So now your brake pad holder is good to go. What you're going to want to do next is actually the same lube you got. Put a little bit right underneath where the brake pad clips are going to go. So where these sit here, put a little bit underneath. And why you're going to do that is to eliminate any rust from forming underneath the pad, which is inevitably going to push up on the clip, and then your pads are going to seize and spot. They're not going to be able to move anymore, and it's going to cause brake wear and so on and so forth. So slide a little bit on there, and then you put the brake clips on. Okay guys, so now to get the rotor off itself, you have the normal Honda locking screw here. What you're going to need is an impact screwdriver for that. So I got that, and then also right here, this little boot we have to take off, and inside there's a little cog that I can show you after I actually get the rotor off. But that cog you have to spin one way, and it'll tighten the brake pad shoes on the inside. So the way the e-brake work is there's two brake shoes sitting on the inside, and then when you put the e-brake, they let out and they hold the rotor, and when you release it, they come back in. So all that's happening is when you spin this cog, it's either compressing or releasing them. So we're going to go ahead and take this off, and we're going to spin this cog and get that off. Actually, I guess I'll record myself using the impact screwdriver here. Don't know if you guys have ever used it before. There it is. So all you're doing is giving it a big vibration and spinning it at the same time, and it eventually breaks up all the rust and takes it off. So now I'm going to take off this boot, spin that cog inside, and take off the rotor. Okay guys, so a little update. Got the rotor off, and this right here is the little cog that I was telling you about. So you're going to be using a flathead screwdriver to go through that hole there in the rotor. So you'll stick it through, and what you're going to do is you're going to push this cog all the way one way. So all the way one way is either going to tighten the pads in, which will allow you to take the rotor off. All the way other way is going to loosen them. So you tighten them all up. You tighten it all the way up one way, so it pulls the pads in. You can pull the rotor off then. It was still hard with all the rust. You got to hit it with the mallet as well. But one thing that I also do, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the new rotor on, put the brake pad bracket on, and get all that stuff going. So one thing that I do, which is controversial to some people, is I put a little bit of this lubrication on this part right here that actually makes contact on the brake pad holder. So I do that so that these kind of slide around a little bit easier. Some people say you shouldn't, so I started not, and I've had brake squeaks ever since. So I am going to go back to my old ways, put a little bit on there as well. So that's what I'm going to do now. Put the rotor on, adjust it, put the brake pad holder back on, put the brake pads in, and put the caliper back on. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is we need to get this clip out. So we push it all the way one way and it'll come out. We're going to compress the caliper with my caliper compressing tool, and then we're going to put the rear brake pad on here before we put it on, just to get it set up properly. Okay guys, so that's it. I got my new retention clip put back in, and as I said, you push it all the way to one way and then you can pull it out. I put a tiny bit of grease. Let's try and focus here. It's not going to happen. And I put a tiny bit of grease in between the brake pad and the actual clip that holds the brake pad in. Just a very, very small bit, just to help the brake pads move smoothly in there. And just in case you're wondering, to set the e-brake, what you're going to do is make it tight on the rotor and then slowly back it off just enough so that it never touches when you're spinning it around. It might have one spot where it touches, but that's fine. Gotta make sure it spins freely without touching, but you want to do it before you put this assembly back on, because then obviously you're going to start to hear this touching the pad or the rotor, and it kind of confuses it. So I am just going to tidy everything up, put the plug back on, put the rim back on, set the car down, take her out for a test drive. Okay guys, so that's going to wrap it up. I just took the car for a test drive. The wife actually already had to zip out. Sorry if the video was a little bit rushed, but I actually wasn't even going to make a video on it until I found out what happened with my brake pads. Just to touch base on the adjusting the e-brake again. So all I did was spin that cog all the way one way until the rotor doesn't spin anymore, so you know the brake pads are all the way out, and then just one notch by one notch start turning it the other way, and you'll feel it slowly start to free up. And then Once it could spin, I spun it one more time, and then the whole rotor would spin freely, didn't hear any rubbing or anything. Put it in drive, hit the e-brake, and everything worked out fine. So that's how you adjust the e-brake anyway. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, throw them down in the comment section. I know this video was a little bit rushed, but my wife had to go somewhere, so had to get it done in a timely manner. And again, I wasn't even really planning on videoing this until I saw what happened to my brake pads. So there's going to be a link in the description on the video I'm going to make right now, showing how upset I am with dealerships. It just blows my mind that they can charge you an arm and a leg for services that you are required to do to maintain your warranty. And frankly, in my opinion, seeing what they did would void my warranty. Like if I did that and they saw it, they would void my warranty. So link will be in the description for that. Thank you very much for watching this video, and please, please, please hit the subscribe button. I have a lot of automotive content coming. It's not just how-tos. I'm going to be looking at supercars, all sorts of cars. So if you're an enthusiast, hence the name of the channel, go ahead and give me a like, subscribe to the channel. I'm really trying to monetize my account. My wife actually doesn't believe that it's possible for me to get my account monetized, so let's prove her wrong. Again, thanks for watching. Watch the video in the description about the brake pads, and I will catch you guys on the next one.